We all hold beliefs that guide the actions that we take in life. And some of these beliefs we've grown to adopt by choice. Typically, an example of this would be some sort of political belief or opinion that you have. This is something that is often a personal choice, and can be something that may be flexible depending on certain evidence that you get on the contrary. But then there are other beliefs that go a level deeper. And these can be so rooted in our core that they don't actually feel like beliefs. They feel like laws, something that is permanent and unchangeable and is an objective truth about life. And I know for me, growing up, one of the big, deeply rooted beliefs I had was about work and how life just worked in general, where I'm supposed to go to college, get the highest degree that I can. I'm supposed to work for 40 years, and then from there, I can retire and enjoy the rest of my life. And that is something that I believed for the first 25 years of my life until I started getting evidence otherwise. And so as I'm going through my UX bootcamp, I noticed that I was repeating a very similar pattern. In a previous video, I mentioned how one of my ultimate goals when it came to UX was to learn about UX, get a job in the UX field, and then work in that job for a few years so that I can gain experience and then ultimately pursue a freelance UX career. And that objectively just felt like the way things worked. It, to me, didn't seem like there was another path to that. That was an objective truth that I felt like was the case. But a couple weeks ago, I don't exactly remember what sparked this, but I had this interesting thought of, why do I have to wait? Why do I have to get experience in a job before I start the freelance? I started to really dig into it and ask myself questions to either prove or disprove this core belief that I had about UX. So I started asking, who says that I have to get experience in a job before I can start a freelance UX career? And what law says that I can't start this right now? And when I started asking myself those questions, it was like this fog started just lifting up, and I could see that there are indeed multiple paths to get into freelance UX. And whether or not I start now or later is purely a volitional choice on my end. So with my newly challenged assumptions, I have decided to just go for it and go for freelance UX right now and just see if it is possible. Now, I'm still looking for a full-time UX role. I don't think that it's wise for me to just discredit that and just dive into freelance, but instead of treating it as a binary, I'm going to just pursue both. I'm going to continue to submit applications for a full-time job, but on the side, I'm going to start kind of slowly working on my freelance UX career as well. So to start the freelance process, I had to figure out what service I was going to provide people. Now, the experience that I have in my bootcamp was I was creating web applications and mobile applications for people with a team of designers. And I thought about that, and I think the big problem with that, trying to do that solo as a freelance UXer, is at some point I'm going to need a developer. And not that that is a problem per se, but when I think about what I want to do, I want to be able to craft the entire solution on my own. And then if I want a developer later, then that would be great. But for now, I need something that I can do entirely on my own and create a product that I can ship and it's fully functional to a client. And so with that in mind, a mobile app or a web app just didn't seem reasonable. And so I figured what I was going to do is I decided to make websites for people, and particularly for small business owners. A lot of small business owners have pretty crappy websites. And so I figured what I could do is offer my services to craft a fully functioning web page for someone. And so basically for this, I would design the web page on Figma, and then I would take that Figma design and then I would implement that using Webflow so that I didn't have to code anything, but I could still have the fully the full customization of using Figma instead of using like a website builder that anyone could use. Now, there was a limiting belief that was holding me back from doing this method, and that limiting belief was I have no idea how to use Webflow. I've never used it before. I don't even know what the interface looks like. And so my limiting belief was that I need to learn how to do Webflow before I can take on a freelance client. And so I have been trying recently to think about these thoughts that I tell myself and challenge them and say, is that true? Is there evidence on the contrary that would disprove that? And so I asked myself, well, do I actually need to learn Webflow first before I take on a client? And I've decided to say, screw it. And I'm just going to learn as I go. So basically, I'm going to take on a client. I already know how to use Figma, so I'll be able to design the web page appropriately. But then when it comes to implementing it into Webflow, I'm just going to learn as I go. Because I find that that's the best way to learn anyway, as opposed to tutorials, is just get in there and try to do the thing. And typically that experience is a lot more rewarding. And so that is what I'm going to be doing throughout this project. Okay, so now that I know what service I'm going to offer to people, I now have to figure out arguably the most difficult part about freelance. How do I get clients? And so I thought about it, and I figured the easiest way that I feel like I can get clients is by offering my services for free, and then in response or in exchange, get a testimonial through them, ideally a video testimonial from them. And I know that there often can be backlash from people saying, oh, you shouldn't give away your services, respect yourself. But I think for me, I believe that it's important to show that you can do the work first. And by having a lot of testimonials to back up the work that you do, then it makes more sense to charge money for those services. Now, notice I said the word I believe. I could probably challenge that belief and start charging money right away, but I don't know. There's something inside of me that feels like that's not the best way forward. And so for now, I'm going to stick with the path of offering my services for free to build a fully functioning business webpage, and then get testimonials from that, and maybe do like 3 of these. The way I went about getting clients is, I think, pretty unique. So I used Reddit. And this may be something you want to try if you want to also get into freelance UX. But basically what I did is I went to my city's subreddit. So I live in Richmond, Virginia. So we have a subreddit. And so I just posted a post on there saying that, hey, I'm a UX designer. I'm looking to build up my portfolio, and so I'm offering up my services to build out or redesign a company's webpage for free. And so, there was more to it than that, but that's basically in a nutshell what I said. And I posted that, and I got a ton of comments saying that people were interested. And so basically what I did from then is from the people that left comments and the people that reached out to me on Reddit, I created this pretty lengthy questionnaire where people filled out information about their business, what their business offers, as well as just what they're looking for in a website. I purposefully made it lengthy because I want people who are actually serious about this opportunity, because anyone can just comment and say, oh yeah, I want a website, but then they're not going to go through the hoops of giving me feedback as I go along my design process. And so I need people that are going to take this seriously, because a lot of times the downside of offering free services is people don't take it very seriously. And so I figured the best way to combat that is to have a pretty long questionnaire that takes probably 10 minutes to do, depending on how thorough you are. And that way it weeds out the people that are just kind of interested from the people that are like, oh yes, I'm serious about this. I definitely want you to help me out. And so what's interesting is that from the probably, 20 comments that I got on Reddit, only 3 people filled out the questionnaire. And so that means that only 3 people are actually serious, in my mind, actually serious about wanting a website designed. Now, I can't work on 3 projects at once, continue to apply for jobs and do my full-time job. That's just, it's not happening. So I've had to, I'm electing to work on one project at a time, and I've let people know this, that hey, this person filled this out first, so first come, first served basis kind of a thing, and people are mostly understandable about that. And so as it stands now, this is super ironic. So I am actually working, my first project is I'm creating a web page for a physical therapist. No shit, I can't even believe this. So in case you don't know, I am a physical therapist currently. So the fact that I'm now being a UX designer for another physical therapist is, I don't know, it seems like a weird circle of life moment. Maybe that's not the right way to say that. But in any case, so I'm working with this person to design a website for his physical therapy business where he's going to be going and doing mobile PT, like doing physical therapy in people's homes. So that's the project that I'm starting now. And so essentially I'm trying to set this up as seriously as possible. So I've set up a project timeline where I'm allocating, I think it was about 5 weeks to do this project. And so I've sent this to the client that I'm working with. And so as I go forward, I'm just going to be sending different deliverables to this client. So I'm going to be going through this almost like it was a project in my UX bootcamp. So I'm going to be going over user stories that I'm going to be focusing on, the sitemap, as well as, doing the wireframings, the high fidelity, all that stuff I know how to do. But then I'll have to work on the Webflow aspect. And so that'll be a pretty interesting obstacle to try to overcome is how do I take a Figma web page or a Figma screen and implement it using Webflow, because I have no idea. And so, but I'll be sure to update you. But yeah, this is sort of going to be my journey going forward. So now I have 2 journeys: my journey to land a UX job, and my journey just slowly building up my freelance UX career. And so I don't know, if there's a moral to this video, it's to always challenge your beliefs, even the ones that you feel like are objectively true. Because had I stuck with my original thought process, I would have waited probably 2 to 3 years before I even started my freelance UX. But now that I'm at least chipping away at it little by little, the amount of progress that I'm going to make in 2 to 3 years, I imagine is going to be vast. And so I encourage you to just think about the things that you tell yourself because they may not always be true. If you've been enjoying these videos, I do have one favor. If you could hit the subscribe button, that would really help me out. And I'll be sure to keep you updated on my journey becoming a UX designer. And until next time, I will see you in the next video. Take care.